Hey there, Rappies. Rapper9198 here, and welcome to another edition of Ryan's Day Reading. So today, I'm actually going to be reading chapters 2 and 3 for I'll Push You. This will conclude the very first part 1 of 3 that this book is divided into. So this will conclude, part 1, which is called Beginnings. So a little recap from chapter 1. We were kind of getting a little basics on Patrick and Justin, and how Justin came to develop this neuromuscular disease that would eventually cause him to not be able to use his arms and legs anymore. And so it kind of left off with Justin in the present, with his wife, Kirsten, at the doctor, and he was like, I need to call Patrick and see, and kind of let him know what's going on. So here we go with chapter 2, phone calls. It's a gorgeous day in May with crystal clear skies, but I'm stuck at home studying for an exam. The warm rays of light pour. So this is from Patrick. Yep. It's a gorgeous day in May with crystal clear skies, but I'm stuck at home studying for an exam. The warm rays of light pouring through my office window make it difficult to focus. When the phone rings, I welcome the distraction. I could use a break from reading about nursing management in the hospital setting. A quick glance at the caller ID lifts my spirits. It's my best friend, Justin, calling from San Diego. He and I have known each other our entire lives, and even though we live 1,000 miles apart, rarely a week or two goes by without one of us calling to keep in touch. Hello? Oh, Patty! I can't help but laugh. I've heard Justin call out that name 1,000 times in his usual sing-song way, and every time it makes me smile. What's going on, Skis? It's only been a few days since we talked. Is everything okay? As we continue to talk, I get up from my desk and head into the kitchen. With the phone wedged between my shoulder and my ear, I pour myself a glass of water as I wait for him to reply. In a calm voice, he says, yes and no. Is your family okay? Yeah. Kirsten and Jaden are fine. He pauses, and I grab the phone with my free hand, pressing it harder against my ear so I don't miss anything. I had an appointment with my neurologist this morning, Justin continues. I have a diagnosis, and I think this one is going to stick. What is it? They're saying it's multifocal acquired motor axonopathy. Whoa, that's a mouthful. They call it MAMA for short. MAMA. So, as Justin recounts the details of his visit to the doctor, I return to my office. I'm surprised at how easy it is for him to talk about his illness. But then, Justin has always been a glass half full kind of guy. So what's the prognosis? I ask. My doctor says the details of progression are unknown, but it will probably cut my life short. When? I ask, my stomach tightening. No one knows, shaking slightly. I set the glass on my desk and sit down. Suddenly, the rays of sunshine streaming through my window seem less bright, less warm. We talk for almost an hour before hanging up, and despite the fear and frustration, Justin's optimism never wavers. When my wife, Donna, comes home from work, I tell her about my conversation with Justin. How long did they say he has? They're not sure. It could be 5 years, it could be 20. No one really knows. How are you doing? She asks as she puts her arm around my waist, pulling me close. I don't know. With Donna's head against my chest, my words come slowly. I just keep wondering how much longer he'll be able to do his graphic design work. How he and Kirsten will make ends meet. How long he'll be able to drive. And if he dies, what will Kirsten do? What will happen to Jaden? Donna whispers, I'm so sorry. I just wish I could spend more time with him. Justin and I have known each other literally our entire lives, born 2 days apart in the same hospital in July 1975. We grew up within 1.5 miles of each other in the small eastern Oregon town of Ontario, an arid farming community where the only trees are those intentionally planted in yards or parks, or ones growing along the banks of the Snake River. When the summer winds blow, dust devils create spiraling brown clouds that rise into the air from nearby fields or vacant lots. But even though our surroundings weren't the most lush, a verdant place on God's green earth, small town life provided an ample supply of freedom and open space for 2 imaginative boys to create worlds where anything was possible. My childhood home was on a dead-end street that backed up to an empty field with acres of dirt and weeds. Directly south, on the other side of the street, sat the white brick Nazarene church our families attended, surrounded by more acres of empty fields. Along with our friends Greg and Brian and my younger brother Michael, Justin and I spent hours digging holes, building forts, and imagining life-threatening scenarios of rescues behind enemy lines. Sticks became guns, folded blades of cheatgrass became knives, rocks were grenades, and outstretched hands made for a great force field. Behind Justin's house across town sat the deep dirt hills, a collection of trees, dirt mounds, and tufts of grass straight out of a Calvin and Hobbes comic strip. During the winter, when a blanket of snow covered the dormant grass and barren soil, we put on our winter coats, snow pants, boots, and gloves, and with stocking caps pulled low down to our eyes, we headed out for adventure. With round red saucers and inner tubes at the ready, we dove down the steep embankment into the canyon below. Trees rushed past, streaks of green and brown, as we leaned first to the left and then to the right, dodging rocks and bare patches that littered our path until we finally made it to the bottom. But as we gathered our sleds and tubes and began the climb back to the top, it sure seemed as if we'd traveled much farther than we had. Though the canyon was a fabrication, and the villains we fought with our makeshift weapons were figments of our imagination, the muscles of creativity grew strong, and the adventures we shared cemented us together. Whether our exploits were real or imaginary, it didn't matter. Together, we lived for the next adventure. As we grew older, our adventures shifted from open fields to athletic fields. Though we were unspectacular athletes, to say the least, we both loved being active, and we shared a competitive streak that often exceeded our abilities. In high school, I ran track and played baseball, and we both played football. Justin played soccer, but tennis was really his game. He had been playing it since the 5th grade and absolutely loved it. When he started having problems with his foot during our junior and senior years, he never gave up. He just tried harder. During his freshman year of college, he tried out for the tennis team. Though he couldn't keep up with the other players, He still played recreationally, but right before Christmas break, he called to tell me that he had given up tennis altogether. I'm giving my racket to my sister. You really can't play anymore? I can still run, but the stepping from side to side is just too much for my left leg. When I shuffle laterally, I stumble and fall. How are you handling it? I have my moments, but I'm okay. At least I can still run. A few months later, when I called Justin to check in, he greeted me with more bad news. I can't run anymore. What happened? Are your legs just too weak? Yeah, I was down at the track for a run, and they just gave out on me. Oh man. First tennis, and now this? I'm so sorry. It's okay. But I already missed the air rushing past my face and the freedom of controlling how fast I can go, he admitted. But what can I do? Man, you're handling this a lot better than I would. I'd be angry. I do get angry, but it never helps. And I can still get around. The next year, Justin called to tell me his legs had grown so weak that walking long distances was a challenge. Though he could still drive, walking to and from his car was wearing him down. Well, I finally got a handicap parking pass, he said, I finally got a handicap parking pass, he said, sounding more upbeat than I would have expected. We had talked about how this might someday become necessary, but for a guy who used to run through fields behind the church with me and race up and down hills on our sleds, to now be dependent on blue parking spaces because his legs had grown so weak, this seemed too much. You've had to give up a lot of independence. First your racket, then running, and now you need a handicap parking pass. It never ceases to amaze me how well you're handling all of it. Sometimes I think I'm having a harder time with this than you are. It's definitely hard, he said, but dwelling on the things I can't do anymore just eats away at me. I can't go there, at least not for long. There's still plenty I can do, and that's what I'm going to focus on. A few seconds of silence passed while I tried to take in everything Justin was telling me. I gripped the phone tighter and told him the only thing I could think to say. Skis, whatever you need, I'm here. All right, that's it for chapter 2. And now here's chapter 3, which is the same title as the book, I'll Push You. And this is back to Justin. It's a beautiful, lazy San Diego Saturday in March 2012. I'm alone in my living room with the TV remote braced against my leg. Though I can no longer open doors, hold a cup to my lips, or button my shirt, I can still somehow manage to use the remote. Every bit of independence is precious. I take what I can get. My boys, Jaden and Noah, are playing in the backyard, probably stirring up trouble. My daughter, Lauren, is in her bedroom, singing, and Kirsten is tidying up in the kitchen. In the relative and rare quiet of the house, I turn on the television and begin flipping through the channels until I see European travel guru Rick Steves on PBS. Every time I've gone to Europe, his knowledge, wisdom, and travel advice has come in handy. In 2001, Kirsten and I, along with Patrick and his wife Donna, spent nearly a month traveling through Europe together. We flew into Paris and then explored Switzerland, Austria, Germany, and Belgium by train. I had braces on both of my legs by that point, but I still had enough strength to walk shorter distances with my wife and friends. It's been almost 11 years since that trip, but the memories are still vivid. Though finances were tight for both us and the Grays at the time, we knew we had to go, and we made it happen, even working extra jobs and extra shifts to cover the expenses. So what does Rick have for the world of channel surfers and public broadcast junkies today? Northern Spain? Sure. I haven't been there yet. I watch as Steves explores the city of Pamplona, where the Fiesta de San Fermin, known as the Running of the Bulls, is an annual event and describes Ernest Hemingway's influence on the culture there, dating back to the publication of The Sun Also Rises in 1926. It's all very familiar until he mentions the Camino de Santiago, or Way of St. James, a nearly 800-kilometer pilgrimage route beginning in the picturesque Basque village of Saint-Jean-Pied de Port, about 5 miles across the French border and ending at the cathedral in Santiago de Compostela, where the Apostle James's bones are said to be buried. As Steves takes me over the Pyrenees Mountains through the flat plains of northern Spain and across 2 more mountain ranges to the region of Galicia in northwestern Spain, I am completely captivated. And as I watch the images of hundreds of pilgrims trekking along this ancient pathway, a thought occurs to me. I wonder if I could do that in my wheelchair. For the past few years, Patrick and I have been looking for the perfect guy trip that we could do together. We've tossed around the idea of going to Germany for Oktoberfest, touring the East Coast, or even just hanging out on a tropical island somewhere. But for some reason, the right trip hasn't revealed itself yet. Now, as Rick unveils the Camino de Santiago, it hits me. This is the trip Patrick and I need to take. I haven't felt this sure of anything since the day I realized I had met the one. Kirsten and I first met a week or 2 after I graduated from college. When people ask me, I always say we met at a liquor store across the street from my apartment. It was actually more like a mini-mart where you could buy groceries, but the sign on the building just said liquor. And frankly, it makes for a more interesting story. The first time we met, I was wearing shorts and my calf-high braces were clearly visible, so it was obvious there was something wrong with my legs. "Don't we go to the same church?" I asked. I think she thought it was some sort of pickup line, but at least it got the conversation started. After we talked for a few minutes, I smiled and said, "Well, I'll see you around." The next week, I saw her again at church. And a few days after that, I was delivering an ad I had designed for a taco shop, and she jogged right past me. That's the 3rd time I've seen this girl in less than 2 weeks. I thought maybe I should ask her out. So I did, and she said yes. On our first date, we went to Casa de Pico in Old Town San Diego. I started the evening by saying, "I have a progressive neuromuscular disease, and I don't know how much time I have left, but I thought you should know about it up front." There, it's out there. Let's see how she responds. She paused for a second. Oh. I held my breath, bracing for the inevitable awkwardness. Instead, the corners of her mouth turned up into a warm smile, and she simply said, "Okay." That's when I knew she was the one. "Honey, could you come here, please?" "What's up?" Kirsten asks as she walks in from the kitchen. "I want to show you something," I say, nodding my head toward the TV. She sits on the sofa next to me. "What's this?" she asks. "Rick Steves." "Just watch for him." "Rick Steves?" Just watch for a minute," I say. Kirsten knows I'm always looking for new places we can explore together. It's one of the ways we've learned to deal with my disease over the years, grabbing every opportunity to make the most of life while I'm still able. "What do you think?" I ask when the episode ends. "What do you mean?" "I wonder if I could do that in my wheelchair." She looks at me and, without the slightest pause, says, "Why not? If it's something you want to do, then do it." This is one of the many things I love about my wife. No matter how crazy my ideas may be, no matter how unrealistic they seem, she never lets me shy away from pursuing them. Now, the only question is, what will Patrick think? 2 weeks later, Patrick, Donna, and their kids, Cambia, Joshua, and Olivia, arrive at our house for our annual get-together. "They're here!" My kids shout as the Grays pull into the driveway in their minivan. After hugs are distributed all around and the luggage is deposited in the bedrooms, the kids run off to the backyard to blow off some pent-up energy. And Donna and Kirsten retreat to the dining room to catch up on each other's lives. "Let's head into the living room," I say to Patrick. "There's something I want to show you." He smiles and follows me into the other room. As he takes a seat on the chair next to me, he reaches over and places the television remote in my lap. I click the power button and begin searching for the Rick Steves episode I recorded. I'm wondering how Patrick will respond. We've both had some pretty wild ideas over the years, but going almost 500 miles in a wheelchair through a foreign country is definitely at the top of the crazy scale. I start the episode, and we watch in silence. I keep glancing over at Patrick, trying to get a feel for what's going through his mind. I can tell he's interested, but clearly he has no idea what I'm about to ask. When the show finally ends, I turn off the TV and get right to the point. "So, do you want to go across 500 miles of northern Spain with me?" Patrick just stares back at me. For all the years I've known him, this is one of the few times in our lives when I haven't been able to read him. Is he in or is he out? Do I even know what I am asking of him? We've had so many adventures in the past, but nothing like this. I don't know if what I'm asking is even possible, but I do know this. I can't imagine attempting it with anyone else. When he finally opens his mouth to speak, he utters the 3 words that will change the course of our lives. "I'll push you." Alrighty, well that concludes chapter 3 and that first part of this book, Beginnings. So stay tuned as we start off part 2, Preparations, and therefore chapter 4 next time as they start to prepare their life-changing adventure. But yeah, that's awesome. I just really love the feeling, like it's just all there's like, it's just all love, no hate. It's like, there's just such a pure, warm feeling there. And it's such a heartwarming story. And I'm glad I like that I'm having this to share with you guys. And I really think I like that it does have messages that we could all apply to our lives. And it's really a good example that if you really believe in yourself enough, you can accomplish it. So yeah, thank you, Rappies, very much. Hope you guys are still enjoying it a lot. I know I for sure am, and I'm excited as we start to get into the preparation for the adventure and then the adventure itself. All right, thank you, Rappies, very much again. Love you all to death. God bless you, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye.